And welcome on in, everybody. It's your Frogman here, King Pepe II, bringing you the latest of Brown Dust 2 news. And unfortunately, which I'm sure a lot of us have seen recently, the status on the Steam launch for Brown Dust 2. But before we hop into it, like, subscribe if you enjoy the content, any comments down below regarding the video, my opinions on it, and anything else that you might add to it. I would love to hear it and read it. Follow me on my socials, and let's get things started. Okay, so gonna just get straight into it. Okay, so if we go and we read the latest on what happened with Brown Dust 2, it has been quotes banned. But the reason why I say that is because it hasn't been banned. It's just been restricted as of right now. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. But I'm gonna read the post, then I'll discuss. Okay, so Brown Dust 2 has been banned by Steam weeks before release. So, based on its Steam DB activity and the fact that you can no longer find its Steam page, Brown Dust 2 has most likely failed its review process and has been rejected by Valve. As an example, H9, a game that was also recently unfairly rejected on Steam, with the developers confirming that rejection has their Steam DB page follow the same telltale signs of a ban. This is a fan service heavy gacha game available on both the Play Store and the App Store. Since their announcement to release on Steam, the game had amassed over 200k wishlist, which is crazy and also true. Oh, and take note, Horizon Walker, an equally raunchy gacha game, is up on Steam right now, accepted without a hitch. Um, then we have an edit here. The issue has been acknowledged by the developers. We've identified an issue where access to the Brown Dust 2 game page and community features on the Steam platform is currently restricted. We are in communication with Steam and are working to resolve the issue as quickly as possible. We'll share another update as soon as we have more information or any progress to report. Oh, and just to be clear here, Brown Dust 2 is developed by NeoWiz, better known as the Liza P developers, so I reckon they have enough clout to get Valve to move and appeal. Okay, so what happened, right? Why did it get, quote, banned from Steam? Well, if we look, you can also see on Steam DB here, you know, all of it's been removed, as you all can clearly see. You look at the page here, the list goes down, guys. Okay. So yeah, obviously you can't find it on Steam now. When you type it in, you can't find it, right? So I think what happened with this, and obviously a lot of us know the Steam and the Valve situation has been happening in this for months now, with the censorship and games being taken off the store, things like that happening as of late. Now, when this game was announced back, I believe it was in October during their live stream, when they announced it, everybody was for it because this game has been, a mass of players have been wanting this to be on Steam for the longest time. I've been constantly seeing it, and even in their live streams when I go and I look on like the YouTube chat and everything, they've been saying they've been wanting the Steam release for this game. So this was obviously going to do very well for itself once they announced it. And when they did, at first I had my doubts about it because I was like, well, with the entire thing, with the censorship and all that, with Steam currently and everything, I had my doubts. And a lot of other players, same thing, same feeling. They were doubting this was going to work, right? But then when we got to the 200K, right, I started to get a little hopeful for it. I was like, okay, so this actually might be successful because this was supposed to be launched on December 13th, right? So in 7 days. And then this happens, right? So, what might be the reason for this? Well, there was a similar situation that happened with Blue Archives, which is another gotcha game developed by Nexon. So, I looked a little into it, and they even had an issue for their Steam launch actually this month. Not this month, sorry, this year, back in June. So with that, I bring it up here. So yeah, they had an issue with their Steam launch, right? It had a lot to do with their review board as well. And then I looked it up further. And I'm just gonna read what it says. So yes, Blue Archive Steam launch was delayed from its original June 24, 2025 date due to a platform review process with Valve, but it officially launched on July 4th, 2025. So it was like about a week later, right? Um, the reason for the delay, it says, was a standard but lengthy platform review process by Steam. So most likely the same thing happened even with Brown Dust 2 here, right? So I don't know too much about Blue Archives to really give a lot of details or even the content on it, but from what I looked up, you know, I saw even on Steam that it didn't look like it had a lot of like, you know, content that at least I didn't depict as like, heavy fan service and stuff like that. Um, Now I have a friend that plays this. He tells me about it, right? And it doesn't look that bad at all. So I was very confused about it. I think a lot of this had to do with though with the fact that now we're all adults here, guys. I'm gonna say the words, okay? So okay, don't be weird about it. But yeah, a lot of both Blue Archives and even some characters, even in Brown this too, are very like they're like lolly types, right? But the thing with and even what some of people said about here down here, I'll read a little bit of what they said. So somebody said, "No, what the fuck happened? There's so many hentai and porn games on Steam. Is this another Blue Archives incident?" Someone says, "Exactly. It's against Steam rules to promote the game like that." Okay. If you look a little further down here, this was one of the actual like things that caught my attention was like, okay, so somebody says I already had a bad feeling when they announced for Steam in the live stream. Somebody says anyone that wasn't expecting this simply hasn't been paying attention to what's been going on with anime games in general. VNs that aren't even 18 plus have been banned just because it sexualizes 18 plus characters that attend schools that simply look like could be your typical Japanese high school, despite the fact that all the lollies in this game are more clothed compared to all the others, minus the Kakarot Ru costume. They are still very much so sexualized. For Valve, lolly is a ban on site, no revisions allowed. And then they also said edit. Just to add to this, my first paragraph means that censoring the lollies wouldn't solve the problem either. Terese's medical club would have to be hit too, along with all the other skins that look like they could be schoolgirls, right? And then somebody says, but there are some 18 plus games like Horizon Walker and Japanese NSFW games still available on Steam. And then if we look more down to this too as well, there's like a lot of comments on this, by the way. But yeah, so where was the one that I wanted to read to? Somebody also said something about how it was the reward system that also could have been the issue, which I was very confused about. Yeah, somebody says I'm sure it's because of giving rewards for wish listing the game. It's a similar thing that happened to Blue Archives. Like I said, I know nothing about the situation, but if you want to freely comment on the issue, feel free to in the comments below. And somebody says it's not similar whatsoever. Blue Archives was asking for leaving reviews in exchange for rewards. Rewarding players for wish listing is barely different from pre-order bonuses. Like, I don't know if that's even a thing. Can you get in trouble on that for like doing that? I don't know. Yeah, so that was another thing about it. And then somebody also says here, people are already pointing at the children/lolly stuff as the cause. Well, it was expected that it would happen. The question was before or after release. With how fragile this topic is, recently it had to happen. Curse of the lollies, either get rid of them or Steam is locked for your game. So yeah, from what I'm seeing a lot about this, it had a lot to do with like the content portraying that. So even if you look on Blue Archives, I mean, they also have what looks like to be, younger characters, but then you also have characters like Sayori, Hasumi, Rio, Shun, who is apparently a teacher, right? They're very older, more mature looking, right? And from what I've read about those, there was no issues with them, right? And they also didn't like try to in any sort of way, like I guess have poses or things like that you would see normally for like more mature older character designs with like any lolly types, right? So it was okay then, I guess, for Blue Archives to pass it just because they didn't do that with them. The only thing with Brownness 2, I am assuming that's targeting would be like Rafithia's bridal one, and I don't think it was more so with Rue. I think Rue was okay because a lot of her skill cutscenes actually weren't along the lines of anything like that. They were actually like very cutesy ones, nothing over the top. Sonia's was the same thing, and the devs even in their live streams were saying like, don't try to, portray them in that light because that's not the approach they're going with. So they even said that in their live stream, by the way, with Sonia. Um, Now the thing with the Bridal Rafithia skill cutscene. Now, mind you guys, this was way before back in the day. With Bridal Rafithia, from my understanding, was she has this one skill cutscene. Now the thing is, guys, you can just simply skip it. But I do agree that yeah, it was a little, it was a little much. But the simple thing about it and handling it was like you can just click the left mouse button and skip it simply. I think that's kind of like an obvious thing to do and not blow it out of proportion like how a lot of things are being blown out of proportion nowadays with censoring and stuff like that. um but yeah, and the thing also covering even Horizon Walker, like Horizon Walker is actually just a straight up hentai title on Steam. Okay, you can even look it up. It even has the tag on it too. Okay, now the release for it, if we're going to look on the Google Play Store of it, it is actually rated mature and everything, but I doubt that they would actually promote that type of content in this release, especially for like their Apple Store, because they wouldn't promote that obviously, so they had to get rid of it. So that's where I could see the game being okay to launch on the Google Play Store and on Apple Store. But for Steam, obviously they kept that content in it, but they obviously tagged it correctly with with their tags that they needed to put in sexual content, nudity, hentai, right? Now the question comes into light is this. So, with Steam, now as we all know, Brown Dust 2, they actually hit the what? They upped their age rating last year. It was around September, in fact. I remember that because it was actually before I was going on vacay, right? I saw it, and I also saw that it was around the same time Snowbreak did the same thing. They upped their age rating, which I felt was like actually a very big decision. Not to mention, it was a nice move on their end because it gave, a lot more freedom to what they could do with, the character designs and later on the content that we see now, right? So I think that was a great move on their end, right? And I'm just going to state this right now. I do believe Brown S2 is a game that's more catered towards mature audiences out there. And it has, you know, very little showing into like the younger, player types. That's what I'm going to say about it, okay? Brown S2 is more for the adult, types, or the more adult audience, I should say. Sorry about that. More adult audience, more mature audience, okay? So then we go later down the line where it was around their 1.5 anniversary. That's when we saw the age rating go to 17 plus, right? Because then we had the interaction scenes added into it with our lovely Gyaru Nibris, right? Then we had Lowen, Morphia. Um, so yeah, they started to experiment more and more, and then we got to Elise later down the line in the newer year, right? This year, I should say. In fact, where they started to do way more, and they started to test the waters more, right? Beautiful interaction scene, by the way. And then we got to the summer, and then the summer, that's when we saw the 18 plus mark, and then that was with the lovable Wilhelmina and the lovely Sylvia, right? So a lot of these age ratings made sense. I agree with them. I feel like they should be like that as well. And if you even look on their official website too, they are actually rated as such 18 right here, right? So we all know that by now, if you're somebody new to the game, you should already know already that Brown Dust 2 is actually a game that's just catered towards a more mature audience. You should know what you're getting yourself into when you download the game, okay? And not be surprised by a lot of what you see, you know what I mean? Or be offended by it, okay? But I'm just saying that a lot of this might have a lot to do with, you know, either Bridal or Fethia, maybe in particular. Um, but I don't really see anything that happened with Rue that could have been along those lines. But you can also have it in silhouette mode as well, because they did add that mode in Brown Dust 2 in their like last updates where you can just do that now and censor the game for yourself, right? So I think that if players want to play the game but they have issues with it, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would either say the game is not for you, or you can just put it into silhouette mode and just move on with life. I don't know. That's what I'll say about it. Okay, but everybody should know by now what Brown Dust 2 has as of heavy fan service, because it is actually one of the most heavy fan service games out there as of, and like, yeah, I'm okay with it. I do content on it. I don't have an issue with it, right? But I know that there are players out there, or not players, but people out there that might be offended. But it's like, well, you can just walk away. You don't have to play it, right? It's simple. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Do you guys feel that there is a need for there to be certain tags on it, placements for Steam now, and for that to be an okay thing? I mean, if it comes down to it, I don't think it would harm in any sort of way of their launch of it. I don't think that it would actually be a bad thing. But I also know that when it comes to tags, it can be seen as like, for example, you put like sexual content tag on the game itself. People are gonna be like, oh well, this definitely has to have like, hentai scenes and stuff in it, right? Not necessarily. It just means that it's more portrayed. Like, look at Eclipse here, right? My PNG. That's what it's referring to. Okay. Obviously, showing off the goods and everything like that. Okay. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not fully showing full on nudity. Okay. Partial nudity, I can agree with, but nothing to hentai level title because you got to keep in mind this is not a hentai game. Okay. It's just one of those gotcha games that has a lot of heavy fan service in it. Okay. But yeah, another thing about it too, obviously, if you look at the game too, as a whole, it actually more or less caters towards the more mature, like, females in the game, okay? It does. It actually does, okay? So that's another thing you got to keep in mind when you look at the game, okay? Um, so I think that it'll happen with Steam, but as of right now, what I'll say is this. If you don't want to wait, but you still want to get the rewards for the game itself, I would just go to the PC clients. I'll have the link in my description below for you guys. But I would do that instead. It works just as well. In my honest opinion, I've been using it for a long time. I have not had any issues with it, okay? And I would just do that. But if you want to wait for this to blow over, and hopefully this is added before their anniversary, their 2.5, I'm just saying that it might not go as smoothly as with Blue Archives, but you might have to wait even a month. I don't know, but you do you with that. I would just get it from the PC client though. In all honesty, I would just do that. Um, but we'll see what happens with the latest on this topic, and hopefully they do have a successful launch because that would be unfortunate if they didn't. But yeah, so with that being said, take care, stay safe and healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next. And also regarding, I forgot to mention this real quick, but like the entire thing about a costume, or an outfit. Oh man, sorry about that. I'm still recovering from being sick. But regarding outfits like a schoolgirl uniform, for example, I'm just gonna use that as an example here, guys. Like, let's just say Olivia got a costume, right? That was catered towards that sort of like feel. Does that make it wrong? Like, think about it. Like, does that actually make it wrong? No, it doesn't make it wrong. Like, we all know Olivia is like literally the only mother figure in the game, right? She's old. She's older, right? So her being portrayed in that style, and then her having, let's just say, a spicy, skill cutscene or even an interaction scene along with it, doesn't change the fact that like her age is still like the way she is, right? It doesn't. It just means that she's cosplaying a schoolgirl uniform. I mean, are you gonna attack cosplayers now? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? I just think it's a ridiculous reason to see a lot of this being like, do we have to now change outfits to like cater towards their like, actual age now? Yeah, the entire thing with the anime being the topic that's always targeted, you know, especially with Steam, I think it's getting out of hand, which I'm sure a lot of us can agree with. But like I said, yeah. But anyway, I'll catch you on the next, and I'll keep you in the loop with this. Okay, take care, guys.